It's 9 o'clock. I will call the work session for the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 18th, 9 a.m. to order. And I think we will dispense with the invocation and pledge, which I think was supposed to be removed. It didn't make it. So new business action items for consideration or approval. We can't take action on these items, correct, in the work session.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Number one, review, discuss Wolf Summit's power plant project status and related proposals from Wolf Summit and status of negotiations, potential executive session pursuant to 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition, which if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interests of the county. Thank you, gentlemen, for yesterday. I think we made a lot of headway. I'm glad to see you could make it today. So I think Trey has reviewed the documents and made some revisions, is what I was told.
Yeah, Mr. Callis and I just met briefly this morning at about 8:15. I talked about it down change, which went over relates to creating an access and guaranteeing access around the land to the new eastern tract if they did not elect to take that parcel as well. Other than that, the agreements from my perspective are acceptable and ready for presentation during the primary meeting. I've got no problem talking about them here. They're going to be for a very short time for consideration anyway. Mr. Callis and Mr. Roman and Curtis Wilkerson are also here. If you all have questions for developments related to the project or an update, you may want to go in executive session for that purpose. That's up to you.
I mean, I really don't have an issue.
Unless you
Out
all
here.
have an update that.
Yeah, okay, that's, I mean, we can talk now or the executive session.
Okay. We can wait till executive session during the meeting then.
That's fine. Are you all good with the changes?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there gonna be a need for an executive session if we
Not unless-
hammer things out right here?
Yeah, not unless you all want to update, which they don't want to give to the general public about this overall status of.
Just having a conversation about.
Yeah, I'd say we do that now. because-
I agree.
I
I
don't know
agree.
if we do it now, then you guys can. We're done. So if we want to go into executive.
I think
session,
that's the thing to do. It makes sense.
I think we go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session
For the reason stated on it.
for the reasons stated on the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And please note.
Motion to come out of executive session,
And go back into regular session.
go back into regular session.
Motion to come out of executive session and go back into regular session. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
And a motion to go back into executive session to review and discuss hiring processes.
Regarding item number 2 on
Item
the
number
agenda.
2.
Pursuant to what's on the agenda. Okay, motion to go into executive session for item number 2. As stated on the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Aye. Hearing none, motion carried. Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 18th, 2024 to order. If you will rise and join us in the invocation of the pledge, please.
If this is our last meeting before Christmas, Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your mercy and your grace. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. We have for public comment, Lexi Mayfield.
Ms. Thomas, as I look at the agenda, the town order for this on the agenda number 10, so I don't know if you want me to vote.
You can wait.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought that might be the case. Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to number 2, consent agenda. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 3, payroll change notices A through G.
Move to approve A, B, C, D, and E. And table F and G.
Motion to approve number 3, A, B, C, and D, and table F, number 3, F, and G. Is that the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Say,
Yeah, E.
So we're approving A, B, C, D, E,
Mm-hmm.
and tabling F and G. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. We have no minutes for number 4, correct?
That is correct, Madam President.
Number 5, requisitions, purchase orders, and invoices. We just have a vendor list of payments. A, what's pleasure?
Move to approve requisitions and purchase orders and invoice A, vendor list of payments.
Motion to approve requisitions, purchase orders, invoices under A, vendor list of payments. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carried. It appears we have no exonerations, corrective tickets, or joint applications.
That is correct, Madam President.
On to number 7, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of a Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District Series 2021 A and B, Development District number 3, White Oaks Project number 2, and Series 2008A, Charles Point Project number 2, Northland Bay Improvements. We have A through F.
Move to approve A, Series 2008A in the amount of $4,630. B, Series 2008A, number 2, in the amount of $434.50. Move to approve Series 2016A in the amount of $1,697.87. Move to approve D, Series 2021 A and B in the amount of $1,297.50. Move to approve item E, Series 2019 A and B in the amount of $3,832.50. And move to approve F, Series 2019 C for the $7,595,091.07.
Motion's been made to approve 7. I'm not going to name them again, A through F. As stated by Commissioner Hinkle, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Review, discuss, consider the following items in relation to Wolf Summit. A, Wolf Summit Energy Site Option. B, Wolf Summit Some Energy Lease Agreement. C, Wolf Summit Energy Pilot Agreement. What's the pleasure?
To move to approve Wolf Summit Energy Site option today and table B, Wolf Summit Energy Lease Agreement, and C, Wolf Energy Pilot Agreement, those two items to be tabled until January 15th.
Okay, the motion has been made to approve A, Wolf Summit Energy Site option. And B and C will be tabled. The lease agreement and pilot agreement with Wolf Summit will be tabled until January 15th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, and for the proper signatures to be affixed to A.
The proper signatures to be affixed to the site option. Is there any further discussion or any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 9, review, discuss, update from Harrison County Economic Development Corporation.
Hello, thank you all. Amy Haberbosch Wilson, Executive Director of the Harrison County Economic Development Corporation. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing us to speak. I will first say that this has been an amazing year, not just for the corporation, but for Harrison County. So I think some of you have already seen in the news and some of the reports that we've been given. Harrison County is one of the top growth counties in the state, and Harrison itself is the highest income county, tied second with Jefferson. Ohio's the first, we're the second. So we're clearly moving ahead. We have a lot going on. The EDA grant that we applied for, the $2.6 million, the construction or the design has been complete. It's been submitted to the federal government, waiting on approval, and then we'll go out to bid. So hopefully we'll have that building built by spring or summer of next year, depending on how long that takes. We have our Brownfields Assessment Grant. It was $500,000. We currently have 35 sites that are being reviewed. Sorry about that. Didn't turn that off. Those sites are going to be eligible for leveraging additional funds throughout the county. So you're going to see a lot of cleanup, a lot of redevelopment on sites, not necessarily new growth on new sites, but existing brownfield sites. So that $500,000 could bring us up to $20–30 million of other development projects for cleanup. The Build West Virginia, I think I presented this maybe 3 months ago. We have a current district right now, and that was an application that went in with Harrison County, Marion County, and Taylor County. Our community and economic development, we discussed at our annual meeting in August the difference between community development and economic development. There is a big difference, however, we do both. Because of the 10 municipalities that are in Harrison County, we try to attend their council meetings. We try to listen to what their concerns are. Economic development would be a lot of the large scale, and not a lot of the large scale jobs, industry, manufacturing can come to these small communities. But we listen to what they want, look at economic development to them, what that means to them, and what we can leverage in funds that we can bring. Example would be the congressional spending. The congressional spending was made available to Harrison County for the past couple of years. We had 28 applications one year that we supported. Not going to get into the weeds of some of the things that we've done, but we still focus on the pillars. We have health, workforce, education, and quality of life. Luis Ramirez, who's my economic development assistant, is here. I also have, I think, 5 board members that are here. But we do a lot of work with a very small amount of force, I guess. A lot of shared resources that we do. But those meetings and groups and committees focus anything that we can on state and federal contacts. That comes down to a daily basis. Pretty much I went through my emails and phone calls. On a daily basis, we are interacting with state and federal contacts on projects. We also won the bid on the annual West Virginia Economic Development Council, has an annual conference every year, and we will be hosting that in September of this year. September 22nd to the 24th, we will have around 200 to 250 people here in Clarksburg and Bridgeport for this annual conference. RFIs. I talk about this a lot. I talk about requests for information. Again, it goes up back to our pillars, our health, our workforce, our education, and quality of life. We are consistently trying to market this area. We are trying to explain to these people and these companies why West Virginia, why Harrison County? Why would you locate here versus somewhere else? And we want to say, why not? So in those RFIs, we explain that. So I'll leave it up to you to ask questions. I didn't want to get a lot of information there, but any questions specifically on what I talked about?
Sounds
So I
like
can
we're-
elaborate a little bit on the Build West Virginia. I'll go back to that one. That's a big one for this area. That's a big one for the state. We haven't necessarily been focused on home building because it's not necessarily economic development for economic developers. It's really, it depends on the value added for the home builder themselves. But now there's such a need to grow the population and there's such a housing need that they've created these districts. So we were, bless you, we were pleased to have our district approved. We had $750 million in the pot. And at the end of that series or that cycle, it was completely used, which means it works. So they filled the pot back up again as of July 1. Harrison County had 2 applications already approved and we have 6 ready to be submitted. So we will see a lot of housing development happening, which means it's growing the population.
Good.
So you're welcome. If there are no questions, thank
Thanks,
you
Amy.
again for your support. I appreciate it.
Okay, number 10. Do we have any heat in here? Okay,
When I
Okay.
came in this morning, it was 65.
Madam President, we do have someone here that's actually working on it
okay.
as we speak.
Sorry, I shouldn't even interrupted, but that's why I'm kind of, my hands are cold. Review, discuss, consider, update town of Lumberport on water and sewer. And I have a note here that Ryan Holcomb is on Zoom. Ryan, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here, Commissioner. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to speak this morning. First of all, I would like to thank our neighboring communities that have stepped up to help us over the last couple of months. We've come a long way, and these communities were a large part of being able to do so. The city of Shinston's water station provided right there along past the intersection of Route 20, provided emergency backup water for a lot of our citizens while we were dealing with a main water line break a couple of weeks ago. The town of Nutter Fort Public Works Department for operation and maintenance help with the water line breaks, our public works crews for their hard work. The town of Nutter Fort office staff were stepping in during our current vacancy of all office staff. I know that God sent these 2 women to our office because they have revamped that office in a matter of weeks till we can actually find things now. The Harrison County Commission for your continued support in getting our main sewer lift station repaired. Phase 1 water system improvement project. The contractor has completed an audit of our entire billing account information and resolved discrepancies between meter books in the field and the billing software. This first set of bills with the corrected information is scheduled to go out today. The completion of this project is critical for the second phase of our project, as we have to make sure we are accurately billing our customers. Phase 2, water system improvements project. Thrasher has completed hydraulic modeling of the interconnection alternatives for our project, and it appears interconnecting with enlarged Hepzibah PSD is the most feasible alternative for us to pursue. Once this was determined, we approached the PSD board and asked if they would like to work together on the project. They were gracious enough to take on the planning and funding application part of the project to help move this project faster. Additionally, the improvements and extension necessary to get the water to us will greatly benefit the Hepzibah system and take care of a problem that they planned on addressing in a project themselves. Through the turnover of our office staff, we are still working to get our annual report information compiled so it is more feasible for them to sponsor the project. Phase 1 is nearly complete. Everything has been integrated. Today will be the first accurate water bills that we have sent out in probably guessing 3 to 4 months. And we know now that we have a lot of water that we are losing. And this new meter system is going to help us tremendously to pinpoint where the leaks are. And Nutter Ford has graciously offered to come in and assist our guys with that. Our office ladies are just spot on with everything that they do. There's never a question that they're presented with that they cannot answer. And I just really like to have the continued support of the commission moving forward.
Ryan, did you want to say anything? Add anything?
No, I was just here if there's any questions that are project related, just to help out.
Hey, Ryan, it's Patsy. I think the most important thing right now we have to look at is that, while we're losing water now, because Lumberport's manufacturing it, we don't count it as a loss, even though it is. And then once we get, we know this is a slow moving wheel, but once that water's coming from Hepzibah, then it's gonna be a purchase, which would be a loss of revenue. So we've got to make sure that Lumberport not only gets the water that it needs to provide to its residences, but you work with Lexi and their staff and Public Works with Nutter Fort to make sure it's ready to absorb the water, not to go underground, but out of the faucet. So that's the only issue, not even an issue, but what I'm saying and following right now is we have a loss of water problem right now, which we have all over the county and all over the state. At the same time, we want to make sure when the clean water is being bought, to provide for the 580 households that it goes out of the faucet, not into the soil.
Yes, on Lexi's behalf, I think even as early as this morning, Lexi and council are trying to work really closely with Nutter Fort and that staff to try to come into some type of operation and maintenance support agreement. That's something they're still working through. From a legality standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint on how that would work. So I do know they are being proactive and trying to put something in place to prepare for that.
Thank you so much, and Lexi, thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
good part.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, I have one question. Do you know what your water loss is?
As of 2 weeks ago, it was over 2 million gallons.
Percentage wise, Commissioner Hinkle, that's about 50%.
And where do you stand on getting that corrected before we actually start putting, as Patsy says, payable water into that system if they're losing 50%? Do you guys have a program to start correcting the leakage?
We have talked with our Public Works Department and the Public Works Department of Nutter Fort, and they are willing to combine efforts. We have several reported leaks in the town, and last week was a major one. It took them Saturday, Sunday, and with Nutter Fort's assistance, they found a leak on Monday. It was major. That facility that Shinston put in was very helpful in that because all of our customers were without water for 3 days. So we are working closely with Nutter Fort, and they have offered their services, their time, their equipment, everything that they can offer to us to seek out these leaks and get them repaired.
Now, are these leaks, mainline leaks, are just in that 50%? Or are we looking at a lot of trunk lines going to houses and that?
We don't know at this time.
But that's what you're working with Nutter Fort.
Yes, yes.
You're working with Thrasher or just Nutter Fort to come up with a budget or what it's going to take to get all these leaks corrected?
We are working on an operation and maintenance agreement with the town of Nutter Fort to assist Lumberport in fixing the major water problems we currently have. problems are much greater than we can afford and complete on our own. There's just no feasible way that that can happen. We're going to use possibly up to 100,000. We're contemplating using up to 100,000 of our ARPA money. But we certainly could use financial assistance to support our contribution. It's going to take much more than $100,000 to find our leaks, to get our staff on board, get them properly trained. The girls from Nutter Fort are a godsend.
Are there any grants out there for this? Thrasher?
I don't think from an operation and maintenance standpoint, I don't think there may be anything to support that I'm aware of.
Yeah, Lexi, one other potential option is that sometimes the Public Service Commission will come in and actively also assist in the management and correction of leaks, and they'll actually help with the study. That's something which Ryan and the town might want to look into.
Absolutely.
Historically, they have done that in Harrison County on at least one occasion, just something to look into. As well, they do have engineers there who can look at flow, hydraulics, and assist Ryan as well. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I appreciate the insight for that. You know, like I said, on the project end, we're confident in securing, you know, as much grant dollars as we can for their project. I haven't been directly involved in the operation and maintenance, things like that. But I'm glad to help communicate between the PSD and the town and get them in contact. Thank you.
Well, I think my takeaway is that we've got a source of water for you, and we could probably find funding to pay for that source of water. But the bigger issue is distribution of the water back into your community.
Right.
That's a big stumbling block.
It is. And it's difficult day to day. But when you look at the big picture, there's no way that our small municipality can do this by themselves. We have four full-time employees with our Public Works Department. And they are going over and above to try to find every leak in town. But it's going to take the manpower from Nutter Fort to assist them in not only finding these leaks, but assist them in repairing these leaks. I'm not certain how we're going to do it all, but
Okay.
God willing.
Well, I only speak for myself at this point, but hopefully the commission can try to help with that and find ways to find funding through other agencies. But from what you're telling me, that's to be losing that much water and be shoving new good supply of water in and putting 50% of it on the ground. If you can't afford to fix it, you sure not going to be able to afford to pay for the loss. So our
main goal is to fix the leaks that are in our town.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be a good start. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you all.
Number 11, review, discuss, consider general order to show cause against delinquent or unprogressed states. We've already approved. It's just a matter of time. Setting a hearing for it. That's okay. What's the pleasure?
Motion to approve general order to show cause against delinquent and unprogressed estates.
And affix the.
And to
appropriate
fix the appropriate signatures.
Motion to approve the general order to show cause against delinquent and in progress estates and affix the appropriate signatures. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 12, review, discuss update from county administrator about power outage at the courthouse annex on December 11th, 2024, and status of repairs.
Madam President, would you mind if I just went ahead and combined 12 and 13?
No, I don't.
Okay. So as for the power outage that we had on December 11th, last Wednesday, we are still waiting on the quotes for the burn up motor that happened. Was the cause for the smoke in the annex portion that evacuated the building.
Burn up motor for, you may have said that.
It was actually for the cooling unit up on the
The
roof,
chiller on the roof.
the chiller on the roof. So we're going to get that, of course, replaced.
Can we
also-
heat over here for?
Yes, we do have someone here working on the heat right now. As soon as we entered the room this morning, I messaged Danny, I'm like, it's freezing over here. We need to thaw out.
I mean to interrupt you, but I just couldn't help.
You're good. So we did encounter some door issues with the annex side whenever, so of course, something not normal can never happen around here, it seems. We had the transformer that blew with 3 legs of power, usually. 2 legs went down, we were only running on 1 leg of power. So with that, we had some malfunctioning of doors that otherwise there's no way we could test, because who would have ever thought? But that was brought to our attention. We are working on fixing those and correcting those doors, so that will be taken care of.
Did the elevators work?
The elevators did work.
Again, I couldn't help myself.
I'm sorry. Danny is taking care of that for me.
Can you send an email call there to do it?
Absolutely. Yes. And then we also are going to try to call someone in for the doors for the security side, working with to see if we can do anything different with the Supreme Court and their facilities management team to get their recommendations of anything that they feel. So
It's important that the lawmaster, but that you're working diligently on this, because it was scary for them to be locked in with no way of anybody getting into them. So
yes, absolutely.
please do that, and of course, copy share.
Along those lines, we are also calling someone in to do a threat assessment. Want someone from the outside coming in. Mr. Thomas actually had a great contact from a couple months ago that helped us with a grant for some of our watch guard stuff, and hopefully can help us with calling someone in to do the threat assessment. With the new year, we're going to start back the courthouse security meetings that we used to have. COVID sort of slowed all that down, and I think we can all agree that it's important that those meetings start back. Whether it's monthly or quarterly, we need to start having them. So we're going to have the first one in January. And that is pretty much all I have for right now. Do you have any questions for me?
Mr. Hinkle?
Moment.
Mr. Treacle? Okay. Motion? Motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carries.